What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you come in and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this interview that George Gervin gave and the statements he made about the ABA, which is the American Basketball Association, saved the NBA, which at that time it wasn't called the NBA, it was called the NBL. It was the National Basketball League, right? It didn't become the NBA until I think in like 77, 78, when the ABA merged with the NBL, right? So that's when it became the NBA after the merger. But now you had the ABA and the ABA, the two most prominent basketball, well, two of some of the most prominent basketball players in the ABA. You had George Gervin, Iceman George Gervin, and then he played with the Spurs, and then you had Julius Erving, Dr. J. Dr. J played with the New Jersey Nets, right? And they was exciting, man. They was especially, man, both of them, in my opinion, but Dr. J, man, he was he was in the ABA. He was what Jordan was in the NBA. He was like must see TV for real. Dunking on people, palming the ball and going up under the rim and coming on the other side, man. And oh man, he was must see TV. And he was very marketable, right? Because Dr. J was very marketable because he was not only a great basketball player, but he was pretty much a clean cut dude, stay sharp, and presented himself well in public, right? So he was, like I said, in the ABA, he was must see TV. And him and George Gervin just had a close relationship. They had a lot of respect for each other. So George Gervin was on All the Smoke, and he got interviewed by Matt Barnes on All the Smoke, and he said that, in his opinion, that the ABA is what saved the NBA, that merger, right? Because of their style of play and the big names that the NBA acquired when they merged with the ABA. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play what George Gervin said about that merger, and then I'll come back and give my input.
Always say Magic and Bird say the league. I'm saying it all depends what narrative you want to push. If you look at the All-Star game after the merger in '76, you'll see 10 ABA guys.
Damn.
It changed the face of the NBA. Whether or not they want to give us credit or not, I mean that's
So were you saying that it was safe to say at the time the ABA was stronger than the NBA
players.
player wise?
Yeah,
Not even
yeah,
close.
yeah, youth, man. Come on, man. The NBA was scoring 80 points, man.
Mm-hmm.
90 points.
I
We
was
was
just
averaging
120.
115. 115, man. Nobody want to see nobody walking up the floor. We started running up the floor. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we brought a new flavor to the league. And I mean, I ain't taking nothing from Magic and Bird, in that era. By no means. They went around in '76. We uplift the NBA.
So you guys saved the NBA and
Man, we took it to another level, man. We gave it a different foundation. We kind of went over the foundation they had and put more cement. And the NBA guys knew about us.
Okay.
I mean, come on, man. The NBA guys knew about the ABA guys, man. We had some real special guys come in.
You guys used to play each other, right, in the All-Star game with the NBA versus NBA?
Yep, man. We used to, I mean, we beat them like a drum, man. I mean, that's
See, I didn't know that the NBA and the ABA played each other in All-Star game, which was cool. And George Gervin said that the ABA, they used to beat them like a drum. The NBA was more of a play more of a slower pace, whereas though, and I've seen clips of the ABA, and the ABA, man, it just was boom, up and down the court, fast pace, and that's what it was. So now the merger happened in, I think, 76 between the ABA and the NBA or the NBL. So the merger happened in 76. And now why the merger happened, I thought it was a good, when you think about it, because the ABA was having financial difficulties. I don't know if it was like through mismanagement or what, but they had financial difficulties. So it worked out for the ABA. They bought over, I think, like 7 or 8 teams from the ABA. I can't even name. I know it's the Spurs, the Nets. It was the Denver Nuggets. Who else? It was about 7 or 8 teams, I think. I'm gonna check it out, right? I'm gonna look that up. But so anyway, now right after the merger, the league did, they said the NBA got a little bit better, but they still had some cleaning up to do because the NBA as a whole had a bad image. It had an image of having guys who were like on drugs, drinking problems. Then you had some guys that was gambling. Even back then, you had guys who were gambling, right? So the NBA had a image problem that they wanted to or needed to straighten out. And then so fast forward a couple years later, 79, 80 is when you get Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And so the NBA is now, they're ready for a whole new, they clean the slate and they ready to take this thing to the next level. And then that's why when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came in, and you do hear that, like they saved the league, right? Because it was a lot of, the media just wanted to pump that narrative up, the East Coast, West Coast thing, half court basketball versus that Showtime Lakers basketball, So that was good for marketing. I thought it was done for marketing. I don't think that I don't think that people really meant no disrespect to George Gervin and Dr. J, for that era, because you think about it, even when they came to the NBA, they still had some success. George Gervin still had a lot of good years left in him. He didn't win a championship, with the Spurs, I don't think. But I do know that Julius Erving wound up getting with the Sixers, and they won a championship. I think it was in '83. So, as a matter of fact, something else happened. I think Julius Erving had 2 or 3 championships in the ABA before he even came to the NBA. So, like I said, Dr. J was that dude. I mean, he was Michael Jordan in that in that mid 70s, man, in that ABA era. He was that deal for real. So, it's good though to hear this interview from from the Iceman, because now you get a whole different perspective of not just what mainstream media wants you to think or how they want to promote that era in basketball, but you getting it from players and like how they felt about the situation and what they thought about the situation. So I dig when interviews like this. I thought it was a cool interview between Matt Barnes and George Gervin. It never even occurred to me to think that that the ABA, he thought, or anybody thought back in the day, that the ABA saved the NBA. But I do know, like I said, just from looking at clips, because I wasn't really following basketball until 1980 when Magic and Bird, hit the league, right? But once they Iceman and Dr. J, man, they just was, I mean, they was must-see TV. They was must-see TV even back in those days, man. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think George Gervin got a legitimate point. I really do think he got a legitimate point when he talking about, their contribution to the league should not be overlooked, in my opinion, for what they did for basketball in general. Man, and Magic, all those basketball players, just like he said, all those guys knew about the ABA basketball players because they used to play them, and the ABA basketball players used to mop the floor with them. So, yeah, man, I thought that was a good interview. But shoot, everybody acknowledges that that these two guys, George Gervin and Julius Erving, man, was that deal. It was some other big name players back in those days that played at the ABA too, right? So I'm gonna look that up too, man, because that's interesting to talk about those ABA ball players. So yeah, man, that's my thoughts on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.